worldwide recognition for his direct speaking style and his ability to combine analytical reflections with practical suggestions for solving intricate societal problems. He is a clinical psychologist. He's an educator. And what he does is he presents critical, inspirational and pan-African approaches to education, social development, community empowerment, and all sorts of things. And we're very honoured to have him on the show. Dr. Johnson, nice to have you with us. Hello.
Thank you. Good evening. Glad to be in South Africa.
Yes. Is it your first time to South Africa?
No, ma'am. It's actually my fifth time. My first visit to South Africa was in 2005. I came as Minister of Education for Marcus Garvey's Universal Negro Improvement Association. My second visit was in 09, when I was asked to escort an elder to South Africa who was coming for the first time. My third visit would have been a couple of years ago, and my third visit would have been last year, October 2015, when we did a 3-week speaking tour. My fourth visit was just this past August, where I brought a group of brothers and sisters from America to South Africa for the first time, and this is my fifth visit.
And so here you are back again. You can't keep away. Your Azanian educational tour, what are you here to bring this time? What is sort of education can we expect from you?
Well, three things. My goal anytime I speak, and as you said, I'm a psychologist and an educator by profession, but I'm also a Garveyite and a Pan-Africanist. So number one, I seek to inform, to educate about the climate that faces our African people. As one of the most requested black scholars on the planet, I am the most requested black scholar in the United States, I get to visit a lot of communities. And so I look to study every place I go and then package all that information into a digestible message. So one, I seek to educate. Two, I seek to motivate. African people cannot change our reality unless we are motivated to do so. So if I don't motivate people to do something better tomorrow than what they're doing today, then the purpose of me coming has failed. And three is to organize. Marcus Garvey said the greatest weapon used against African people is disorganization. We are not organized, at least not with a racial ideal. African people are dead last in the world, politically and economically, and that is internationally. So whether you live in London, whether you live in Canada, whether you're in Johannesburg, whether you're in New York City, whether you are in Jamaica, we are dead last. Wherever we live, our economies are being ran by non-African people. It is not acceptable. And if we want to change the direction in which we're headed, we're going to have to organize. Organization is the key that determines who's going to be strong and who's going to be weak.
So somebody comes along to listen to you, and you're going to be talking in at the Market Theatre in Newtown, in Sebokeng, Jeppestown, Khayelitsha, University of the Western Cape. You're going to be talking all over in the next, throughout October. If somebody comes along to hear you speak, what message would you like them to take home? What would you like them to be doing the next day as a result of having heard you talk?
That would depend on whatever their expertise or interest is. And my message, I touch on the major issues that affect African people. So I deal with education, I deal with psychology, I deal with business, I deal with family, okay, I deal with military science, I deal with white supremacy, racism, and by the way, you cannot significantly address any problem that affects African people if you don't deal with the role of racism and white supremacy. And so I want them to go away motivated and educated, but also dedicated to make a difference. And that difference will depend on what their own inclination is. If you're an educator, I want to motivate you to start your own school. If you are a medical doctor, I want to educate you to build your own hospital, start your own clinic. If you are an architect, I want to motivate you to start developing designs where we can build infrastructure, black-owned infrastructure throughout South Africa. If you are a social worker or a psychologist, I want to motivate you to adopt more African-centered approaches to traditional therapy and working with our people. So it all depends on what that person is interested in, because we have so many challenges, so many issues that we face, that whatever expertise you bring to the table can be brought to bear to affect the global African reality.
So, you say disorganization is one of the prime sort of demotivating factors. What else? Is it people themselves who hold themselves back? What is it that stops people being motivated? What is it that stops people being like you?
Okay, let me say this. All progress is done through a group. There is no such thing as individuals who are held back. There's only such thing as groups who are held back. So we have to make sure we are very, very careful about how we frame the problems that face black people. It's not about you as an individual African. It's not about me as an individual African. Things are done systematically to keep African people where they are. For example, before 1994, non-Africans owned 95% of the wealth in South Africa. After 1994, non-Africans still own over 90% of the wealth in South Africa. Before apartheid and post-apartheid, wealth ownership by the British, by the Dutch, by the Chinese and others has not changed at all. In fact, our ownership has probably even shrunk. So it's not about individuals. It's about the group. What are we going to do as a group? Chinese operate as a group. Anglo-Saxons operate as a group. European Jews operate as a group. African people has to operate as a group as well. It's not about individualism. It's about what are we going to do collectively. You can only rise as great as the collective effort of your people.
You're going to be talking in so many different places. I don't sadly have time to read them all with all the different dates. But is there a website? Do you have a website where people can find out a little bit more?
Well, a phone number that they can go to find out where I'm going to be and when. They can call 072
Yes.
872
Yes.
5778. Again, 072 872 5778. I would also encourage brothers and sisters, if they want to link up with me directly, they can contact me by way of WhatsApp. And my number is +1 215 989 9858. So again, that's +1 215 989 9858. Now on Saturday, October the 1st, I'm scheduled to be at the Market Theater in Newton from 6 until 10. That's this Saturday, Market Theater in Newton, 6 until 10 p.m. And then on Sunday, October the 2nd, I will be at the Tasakani Old Age Home near the Tasakani Mall from 2 until 6. And then on Tuesday, October the 4th, I'm scheduled for the Saul, and I know I'm saying this incorrectly, Sotetsi Sports Center, Zone 14, from 5 until 9, and that's on Tuesday. But if anyone needs that information, they can add me on WhatsApp, and I will send that to them, or they can reach me by email, Dr. Umar Johnson at yahoo.com, DRUMAR Johnson at yahoo.com.
Lovely. Thank you very much. I'm scribbling down all the details here madly, but thank you very much. I'm going to give out, I think what I'm going to do, Dr. Johnson, is I'm going to give out that cell phone number. Otherwise, if people would like to email you, drumarjohnson at yahoo.com. Thank you very much, Dr. Umar Johnson, who has much to share. So make a note of that, 072 872 5778 if you'd like to find out a little bit more about where he's speaking. Well, that's it for the Talk Shop tonight. Thank you very much for staying with us. And let me just tell you that coming up this evening, right after the news at